you can start with what we have and gradually build it up to the extent whereby it can match up to this competition and probably even surpass this competition in the future.
You see people dancing all over the place, even the villains are dancing with
Yeah,
them.
that's true.
You know, you just feel like,
We believe in what we have, and we believe we have the resources, and we have to show them. There's no limit, honestly. Like, you can do anything you want to do, and if I can contribute even a little to that, like, of course, I would generously do. So create something for yourself.
for those people who are just sitting in their home and wondering, who is this guy? Just can you just introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Emmanuel.O. I'm from Nigeria, but currently I'm staying in the Philippines, trying to further my master's degree. But I do blend tutorials, and I'm a CG artist in general, and I create artworks for everyone to enjoy.
By the way, nice tutorial on that one. Rigging a car. I think it's the new one.
Yeah,
Rigging
the
a
latest one okay. Yeah, I think I uploaded it yesterday.
Yeah, like I just subscribed to your channel and I was like, anything I want, you already have made a tutorial about it. And that's, something I've been wondering. Why is it your channel like, not having this much impact in YouTube? I have asked too many people and they don't know your channel, and I was like, you should watch this guy. And I just want to say, this is not very happening in YouTube stuff.
The
Um,
reason I suspect is the reason I suspect my channel is not as big. Like, I really got into, like, because I opened the channel like 8 years ago, but I was not really serious. I was more focused on skills, so I was uploading tutorials once in a while. But I kind of 2 to 3 years ago, so I had more time to really focus on it. So I really got into like last year around October. So then I had opportunity to really upload more videos, and I think that's when I started. Probably that's why most people have not heard of me yet, because of
yeah.
being like really active on it still recently.
Yes, yes. I think this tutorial thing is like working for you. You don't have that much editing happening in the tutorials. It just feels more comfortable watching
Yeah,
your tutorials. And I just want to ask you this: how did you
yeah. I'm
go?
glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm like I made every tutorial you made. Especially I like that one that you have been texturing Spider-Man, Tom Holland's.
Yeah,
I love that tutorial.
yeah. That's really nice. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
um,
Was actually my plan was to actually make it like a paid course, but I felt like it's a knowledge I know, and like I mean, I got it for free, so definitely to share the knowledge out for free instead of like making it like a paid course, because that's what it was my initial plan. But I didn't want to just, I needed to give back, because around the time I started getting more views, I just felt obligated to put out those kind of content to like everyone.
that's perfect. Especially if you came from Nigeria. You have told me people in Africa don't have the means to pay. PayPal doesn't work in my country, and I think this is very generous of you. To teach people and share your ideas. Um,
Definitely, yeah, yeah. I'm actually lucky to be in the Philippines, because I'm pretty sure, like, if I was in Nigeria, probably my learning, the way I learned would more probably be slower. Not because Nigeria is kind of backwards. It's just probably the infrastructures like free, quick internet and stuff like that. But like here in the Philippines, it's just easier to do it and like give out, like making it pay, because I learned for free, and I just feel obligated to give back for free.
Yeah, that's very generous of you. I just, how did you become, this CG guy? How did you, have been exposed to the first CG? Is there anything you want to say? How did you get into this?
Like,
Uh,
like the way I got into CG, I would like to. I would think it started from when I was younger. When I was growing up, I started watching. I don't know if you're familiar with Tinkerbell, the fairy with Peter Pan and stuff like that. So I was really amazed the possibility of animating characters because growing up, the only form of art I was familiar with was like back in Nigeria we had like a comic book called Striker. So that's what I knew growing up. I mean, I was really the ability of creating art or entertaining an audience with art. So the basic form of animation I knew was like 2D mainly. So I was kind of when I saw Tinkerbell, I was really amazed of the possibility of like having an environment of 3D space whereby you can create geometries and rig it like in the real world. So I was really fascinated with that. And over the years, like I actually tried lots of mediums. I don't know if you know, there's a medium called, I don't know if, probably, maybe in the chat I will let you know, but it's like a medium, you don't have to create the character from scratch. All you just need to do, it's like roughly animated with or pre-made animation. So I started from there, but I wanted to make my own stuff. So I got into Blender, and from there I just gradually learned up to this point.
Wow, that's very interesting to know that someone from some similar kind of environment have been been successful as you. And like in my case, I live in Ethiopia, and the whole system about CG and stuff doesn't work here. Maybe we have some people who draw, but the CG is very young in our country. And seeing people like you, it's like if we can make it, I can do. We can have that kind of mentality.
Well, I'm really happy that I can have that kind of influence, or like probably it was not my intention. Like I just enjoyed the vibe of giving tutorials, but I'm really happy that like what I do has impact on people. Like it means a lot to me, and this is what keeps me going. Like stuff like this, whereby you reach out to me, it really inspires me and make me want to do more. And I really appreciate you reaching out. Like it means a lot.
For real, I was like very blown away by you agreeing on this. And people, or you always feel like when people just make it and they won't agree, to this, they won't agree to that. You just feel like you are drawn back. But when I have seen, they are always happy to help like you, and you have been like a great help for me. Even though there are lots of people like hearing your podcast right now, and like they don't even know what 3D means. They just know that there are films made by it. They are made in the Western countries. They don't know that we can have the same kind of probabilities in this country. What do you think about this?
Yeah, definitely. Like I have been looking like I'm in the Philippines, and I am looking forward to the day whereby I'll go back to my country. So the plan is probably next I'll be done with my master's degree and I'll return back to my home country, Nigeria. And my plan is to invest my knowledge into the people and like help build the animation industry. I know it's not a one-man job, but I will do the best I can. Like I know, like in Africa, we're just used to like traditional movies, which works and is really good. But I feel like other mediums are also valuable, like animation. It's really valuable to reach like younger kids, adults that enjoy animation. So I feel like it's a very powerful medium that's is needed in Africa. Not just basically not just focusing on just movies. I feel that animation is also important to be used as a medium of telling stories, just not just relying on just using movies.
Yeah. I just feel like that, in our country, I feel like there's no one literally doing some kind of. You may see some kind of short animations here and there, but there is nothing made in 3D. You might see,
Yeah.
one or two, commercials having some 3D, but they're just basic things, and people don't know that you can do a whole thing. You can give some characters, life into 3D. I just feel like
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's honestly true. And the fact is that creating animation or movies actually cheaper because like you have control over everything, over the story, you have control over the way it looks, and it's actually because of the advancement of technology. For example, Blender, participate, but like for a developing country like Africa, probably using a paid software, which is also valuable. There's other options to do this stuff and create high quality for free using Blender. So like I think this is a very big opportunity. I mean, we're not so late at the game. We're not like technologically, we are just at the right space. So I feel like people like us, me and you, we can really push the animation industry to where it's meant to be.
Yeah, I just feel like that, and I'm just people are just always thinking that the Western countries have like the best computers, that they have some kind of alien technology that let them do this stuff. In reality, it's just in reality, it's just they have you can do lots of things with just 4 gigs of RAM and Core i3 computer. You can just do lots of things, and people just don't know that they have this capability.
Yeah, yeah, honestly, it's like amazingly. Right now, I'm working with my laptop. My whole workstation is my laptop. I have like I'm using my GPU is like 1080, so it's not even really powerful. But yet capable of I'm able to do like really cool stuff. Though I'm still learning, I'm still in progress. But like the rate, the possibilities is just endless, and like everything is quite accessible with technology these days. Like we can actually do it. You don't have to be in any place. You just I think believing in the process of realizing that 3D is the future of like storytelling. Like if you even watch Western movies, like most of the films have lots of 3D in it, even though it's invisible VFX that you cannot really tell because they kind of integrate it really perfectly. I think that's one way we could even improve on what we have already, like our movies. Like we could extend the universe of our movies to something bigger, which is really awesome. And I think we should really think of exploring it. And I plan to do.
Um, Emmanuel, do you feel like having this kind of um, Emmanuel?
Hello.
The internet is going off. I don't think if it's me or you, as we're just going to fix this in audition. No problem.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay.
What do you feel like, the main reason that Africa is just, behind everything and the CG world? What do you feel about this,
I mean, it's kind of like it's not a straightforward answer because there are many factors that play into this particular issue, and I mean you could relate it to everything. But I feel probably let me take for example Nollywood. Like
Yes.
most people that in movies, like I mean, if you're an investor and decide to invest in a movie, definitely you want to get your money back, like after like few months or few years. But like there's no like tested like a tested out scenario whereby 3D movies can actually get that investment. And there are many factors to that. Probably they have not seen like a capable animation studio that can actually create a tangible or powerful animation that can show that this is a real investment because it takes money to make like a full animated movie or even a short. So I think it's the job of like the CG artists to probably show that we are capable of doing that. But I mean, just answering your question, like what's the reason why I think that we're not there yet? I just feel it takes time. Like even in the Western world, I mean, it's easy to say that they are more advanced, but definitely when they started out, they were not perfect. Like if you see the Toy Story, the first Toy Story one was not perfect. It looks like compared to what we see these days, it's quite it can be bad. So I think the technology is quite available to us at this moment to take it, but I know it's going to take time and it's going to take like an organic process. It's not like a one on zero or yes or no answer. It's just that it's going to take time for us to get there, and we just have to start today to kind of impact it. And I feel like I'm already doing the best I can, like just to um, share my knowledge. And my goal is to go back home and like establish like a community whereby this is even easier and accessible, where I can share my knowledge and also try to be part of the progress in Africa.
Yeah, that's very generous of you. Thinking going back. Some people you might see like I've come across lots of people in Ethiopia. They just say, once I get off this country, I'm never coming back. There's this mentality of the country is what is drawing you back from your future. You think that your country is the one that is burying you, but if you have a decent internet, I feel like you can just do anything you want with if you just have the creative mind. It's not about the way
Yeah,
how the animation looks.
honestly, I appreciate you because just from the way you're enthusiastic about this topic, I feel like you really believe the things, and I really appreciate the fact that you believe we can. That's I think that's the basic mindset we all should have. Like we in Africa, we're actually we have more advantage because like in the Western world, if most Africans go there thinking they are going to just make it, there are a lot of competitions, there are a lot of good artists, and definitely that's a good thing. It makes you better. But you have the opportunity to build something here at home, which is going to like last for generation. I mean, thinking that if you go there, you're gonna have a better opportunity. That's okay. I mean, you don't want to judge them, but if you're looking for immediate gratification, but I mean, if you're looking in the long term to really push the animation industry forward, you don't want to have the mindset that you want to go and help another person to make an industry even better. You can start with what we have and gradually build it up to the extent whereby it can match up to this competition and probably even surpass this competition in the future.
Yeah, I just feel like that. In Ethiopia, we have like I feel like the advantage is you just can't go to your grandparents and they just tell you stories, and if you just make that in the 3D world, it just can't get just can't get you can get the best stories. No one is making them. We have this kind of resources, and the
Yeah,
story is.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I totally agree with you, honestly. Like, I feel you. I feel where you're coming from. And I have also thought like that. Like, we have a lot of stories. Like, for example, the other day, I was just thinking about there's a story of a lady called Madame Koi Koi. So she's like a folk tale told, like a story told in like college, in high schools, because I attended like a boarding school. So in my first year in that boarding school, we have like a story. Um, Telling us about a lady that comes at night and like she dress your bed. Probably she has like a very rough backstory. So those kind of stories are like this. So like in Africa, we are story orientated. Like we have lots of cultures, we have lots of stories, we have a lot of history, we have a lot of tradition. I think like there are a lot of untapped resources that we are missing out just going outside or going to the Western world. We can take really good advantage of what we have back home.
Yes, I definitely feel like that. And one day, I just feel like, creating a school here, for those young people, they don't have to go to, just because we just suffered from this kind of, drawback. Everybody must not be like this, if you looked like Indian people, they have like they just push the CG industry forward, but in their own way. They in every Indian movie you see people dancing all over the place. Even the villains are dancing.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you just feel like You just feel like they have been pushing the 3D industry, but in their own way. They have their own culture, and I feel like that's
Yeah,
the same thing we should do in our countries. We should always make some kind of animations that are only relatable to us. So I'm not saying
yeah,
we could just have to say no to everybody, but I feel like we should be ourselves and
yeah.
push the 3D industry in our own way.
That's definitely true. Honestly, like I mean, Bollywood when they started out, probably people looked at them like mediocre, or probably just dancing around or having exaggerate movements. But like, they know what they have. They know the people they are trying to get to. I think that's what we should actually reach out. We're not trying to be like others. Because there's nothing as valuable as uniqueness. Africa, we have like big culture, we have talented people, we have great stories, and I feel like if we really take advantage of that, that is going to even make us more valuable because it's we're telling a new story that no one has ever have ever heard. Because these days everything
Yes.
you see is quite repeated. You have the mother, you have the father. There's like a little conflict, and you know what happens at the end. But with Africa, we have more condensed story that is very interesting. We tell it like there are a lot of lessons, some moral lessons which you could learn from it, and we could really take advantage of that, not just trying to imitate, meant to innovate.
Yes.
And we as African, we should really take advantage of that, not just thinking about going outside to the Western world and working for them and really make them better and stuff.
Yes, I feel like there are. This is just the studies that have been made in Ethiopia, and there are lots of doctors, yeah, outside of Ethiopia that are in Ethiopia. Those PhD guys, they just are, just going out whenever they get the chance, and they are just taking brain drain of our country. They are just taking the talented people, promising them, better life, better, opportunities, and they are not fools. They just agree, and in the long run, we are just, getting disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I can with them. I can see the reason why they want to do that because I mean they're talented, they have what it takes, they have the skills, and definitely they want to apply those skills to like valuable sources like American companies or European companies that will really value the ability, especially in payments or salaries. So, but I feel
Yes.
like if we are going to move forward as Africans or as a continent, we definitely have to like. Of course, it's not going to start all sugar and honey at first. There are going to be like drawbacks, or there are going to be like resistance, and we should expect that. But our goal as innovators is to believe that we believe in what we have, and we believe we have the resources, and we have to show them. I know it's kind of complicated because earlier I was talking to my brother about like African or probably in particular Nigeria government, the fact that we try to imitate other nations whereby we are not there yet. Probably I think the way to go is to actually focus on what we have and build our success around what we have. Because if you try to be like other people, definitely you might look like them, but you'll never be like them. So the goal is to innovate into the point whereby you've created your own style and animation industry whereby sold well and African culture are being put in a better light. And probably have more moral story to be told to the upcoming generations.
Yeah, I just feel like that, you have seen this kind of, cultures in our families, Let me just, go through, a hypothetical example. And you just, woke up one day, and you wanted to do, let me say, a character in your animations. What is the thought process behind that animation? I just want to know, how do you tackle your problems, your drawbacks, how do you go from do you go from a reference, modeling, texturing, then animation? Is there anything that you have laid out?
Okay. I mean, that's a really good question because it's quite a very tricky topic or a tricky situation for like beginning artists. Like when I started out, like I had problems try to recreate art or concept art or pictures that are not meant to be recreated. So you have to look at your concept and understand, is this translatable to an art form? So once you find a nice concept art that is quite appealing and it's the best, the next step is to like look for appropriate reward, even though it's like realistic or stylized. So you want to like get the appropriate reference, like that matches the clothes, the type of clothes in the reference, the type of skin in the reference, the type of textures, the reference, the type of shaders or materials in the reference. Then once you get that set, the next step is to kind of missing one step. So once you get the reference, the next step is to just try sculpting it. Once you just sculpt like a rough form, and then you can gradually start making sure you refine each process step the final look, which I like my modeling process or character process. I look at it like scanning, like in movie industry they usually scan their assets. So the rough form sculpting, I actually look at it like that. So I just want to sculpt the rough form and like make it look as close to the reference as possible, and then I can go into the more technical aspect like retopology and making sure the shapes and the topology match the flow that I want to get at the end of everything.
Okay. Is there any, things that you have picked up, while you are modeling, or like for me, I feel like whenever you do a sculpt, you should always have a base mesh that is as far as good as that you can get into using, the blocking out. I feel like that. Is there anything that you have, picked up while you are doing the sculpts, or you doing anything that's, is there any kind of techniques that you have developed that you want to share?
Oh, basically what I learned recently, because I've been working for a lot of clients recently, and I feel like the recent development in my skills is just realizing shapes. Like you have to, because when creating characters, most beginners get this from they try to create characters, just they see concept art and they just try to go right into like creating the character. But the new steps which I take is to like divide it into three steps. So the first step is to create the primary shape. So this primary shapes entails the basic human form, just make it look close to the reference. Then the secondary shapes is to make sure that just those cool details are available. Like for example, if you take a look like ancient sculpts, like the Roman statues. I don't know. So if you
Yes.
look at those Roman statues, they're not really detailed, but when you look at them, you can feel that those are human beings. You feel that those are realistic, and the reason you feel that way is because you can actually see the forms. For example, if you look for a human being, if you look at the hand, let's take a
Okay.
hand for example. If you look at the hand, you can see nice forms for the bicep, even the forearm. You can see all those nice forms. So I feel like most character artists ignores that, and I'm a victim of that. I usually ignore that, but I think like my work got even better when I took time to really make sure that those nice forms are established and not just jump into the details, because you can get carried away to make it look really detailed, adding nice details on the lips, eyes, and skin details. But those are quite irrelevant if you don't have a nice form. So you want to make sure that the bases are set. And I think it just applies to every form of 3D. You just want to make sure like you get the overall shape of the object, or in better form, the how will I say this? But anyway, so you just want to get the basic form of the object before you move into adding details. I just feel that's the advice I can give to any beginners trying to create characters or any objects.
Yes, I feel like it's like I'm not that good at sculpting. I basically sculpt in Blender, just rough forms. And these days, I was very interested, in creating one character. And I write too much, and I had this story in my mind, and I wanted to make it, but. In my mind, my mind did the lighting, my mind did the modeling, and your mind show you the best possible outcome you could ever get, but in reality you don't know how to perform the steps. And for those
Okay.
of you listening, don't get discouraged by that. It comes
Yeah,
by
that's true.
it
Yeah,
comes.
I
uh,
totally, I totally agree with you. You're correct. Like you don't want to get distracted by just looking at the final reference use because like there are a lot of things that are going to distract you. Like it's probably totally wrong from the sculpt which you're doing, and so you don't want to just focus on how it looks finally. You just want to make sure you're working with an accurate information of the real shape of the object because you don't want to jump. You just don't want to jump right into how it looks finally. You want to take it step by step. Like the way I divide my characters, I divide it into primary, secondary, and tertiary shapes. So the primary is just getting the overall form, like I said earlier. Secondary is making sure that the shape makes sense. That's like I can even upload the secondary form on like my art station or like Facebook, and like artists will
yes.
actually recognize what I'm trying to pass through. And then the tertiary shapes are just later push it even further. So I think having a mindset like that is going to really push your artwork even further.
Yeah, I have been seeing your art station, and I have Googled, stuff, and I was like watching your tutorials, and you might, when somebody have seen your art station for the first time, they might not, feel that style of yours, but I think you have, this lean toward stylized, aka, it's like it's stylized, but it's not that much stylized. You have some details going on. How do you feel about this style? Is it
Yeah,
is it
I mean, honestly, like I actually had like a dilemma between that. By that I mean because my goal when growing up or when starting out my CG career, like what inspired me. I don't know if you're familiar with the animation studio Blur Animation Studio. So I really like their work. The animation studio really focus on photorealistic characters. So that's really my goal to get there. But like over the years, I found out that my artworks are kind of stylized in a sense where it looks quite kind of realistic, but not so realistic, which is okay. But the way I get there is just having a realistic. Basically, I'm trying to get like a realistic form. So the forms are quite realistic, but the details are not so realistic. So like it's kind of in a bit in between of the uncanny valley because there's kind of a threshold that if you don't have like so much of a realistic character and then you add like so much realistic details, you get that feeling of weirdness where you feel that this stuff is becoming creepy. So I think my artwork is just in the between of like stylized and realistic. So I have a bit of realistic forms which I applied, and the textures that I apply are not so realistic to the sense whereby it creeps people out.
Yeah, I just feel you, and in my nature, I just care about the story. I don't care about how much detailed that character is. You just when you see a character, you just have to know what the background of it. You have to guess. At least you have to guess about the character, or have some kind of relationship with that character. And if you have very detailed character with no forms at all and have no background story, you just feel like it's just it doesn't feel like relatable. And I feel like art can be pushed by having a story behind the photo. How do you
That
feel
that's
about your character story?
that's definitely true, and it's quite necessary. Honestly, like I'm actually still learning. I don't feel I'm I don't feel like I have reached my potential yet. I just feel like I'm still in progress. Definitely all artists should feel like that. You should never feel like you've gotten there yet. You just need to keep pushing your art, but definitely you will keep making progress with that kind of mindset. So definitely, what I've discovered recently is that story matters. Like just creating a random character with just a generic character, with like a portrait character that don't have like an environment to support the story, or don't have like a pose to support the story of character being in distress or kind of shoots. Because we are quite kind of evolved to the state whereby we recognize human forms, and we actually see human forms in even inanimate objects. Like we can even see faces in the moon, from the moon.
Yeah.
So those that kind of shows you that like when someone is looking at the artwork, they're actually trying to see themselves through those characters. And you should realize that when someone is looking at work, they definitely want to see like, a story, because we are very fascinated about. Definitely, if you're creating a character, you don't just create a character that just stays still or just stays without a story. At least make it feel like it's part of a story. Except if you're creating a character for like an animation pipeline where you have it in a T-pose. Apart from that, you want to make sure every character or concept art which you're trying to make, or even object props, you want to make sure you have story, and you can really exhibit those story not just in the pose. You can actually transmit those stories like in the textures, in the materials, in the environments, in those little details like cobwebs or like even stains, rust. So you want to be able to transmit those stories into those characters, and I think it's really important, like you said.
Yes, yes. I just feel like that. And recently, I have trying to be, I have watched the course by. I'll put the link in the description, but I don't know the name of the course. I have forgotten about it, and I have seen this drawing course, and it says like, it's always about the forms, and human forms are just, something that is very sharp and very realistic. Doesn't appeal the people. That's there's a study made some I don't know, but the research said that why do you hate your own voice recording? And it got me thinking, when something is as close to the real, you feel like the more realistic it gets, the more uncomfortable you get with that thing. That's why we always hate our own voice recordings and stuff. That's the way the art works. If something is super realistic with no story behind it, it just feels unrelatable, and it just breaks the bond between you and the artwork.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Because recently, I tried to. I don't know if you're familiar with the founder or CEO of Blender, Rosidel, Don Rosidel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but
Yeah, I, huh? Yeah.
yeah.
Go
So
on.
I tried to like create a realistic yeah. So I tried to create like a realistic portrait of him, and like when I uploaded the final artwork, I didn't get much positive reaction like I expected. I felt like because he's like a Blender hero, I felt like I would get
Yes.
a lot of reaction from that. But like from the statistics, like I didn't get a lot of impression about that. So part of the reason I felt or I realized was because the character didn't really have a story behind another CG head. So you don't want to just have another CG face in your portfolio. You want to have like this character actually with a story. So it's not just creating famous people. If you have a story, those characters kind of make more impact onto the viewers. Like if you see very famous 3D artists like Ian Springs, like most of his characters has story. So he usually when he's like giving a bibliography of those characters, you will see him saying, "This is my niece, this is my father," and you already knowing his father, you can actually, there's a story behind it. So with based on our human evolution, we feel connected. Like we kind of share his passion that this is his family, and we kind of see that and kind of see the expression of those faces, and you kind of see like it's a captured moment. So it's actually telling a story. So I feel like it's quite important not just to just create art for creating sake. You want to create art to tell a story, which is really important because that's the only way you can actually draw the viewer in to really appreciate the art which you create.
Yes, I just feel like that. Have you seen the recent post on Instagram? The one that was made, I don't remember his name, but he made Andrew Price, the Blender guru. He made him.
Yeah, I
And
saw.
don't you like that
Yeah,
artwork?
I saw that on Twitter.
Yes, and that I was talking about that, and it feels cartoony on some way, but it's Andrew Price, and you feel like it's relatable, and everybody liked that artwork, and everybody was tagging
Yeah,
him. How do you feel about this?
yeah. I mean, I can see the reason why. Like, I mean, I felt like it be Andrew Price portrait. Like, it was awesome. Like, I think it did its job. Like, it actually told the story of like the really showing the character of Andrew Price because Andrew Price is quite a loved character, and most Blender user that started out using Blender is are definitely familiar with Andrew Price because even starting off my 3D artwork, like he even inspired me to start doing tutorials because seeing how he did tutorials, like I wanted to do it myself. So it's like seeing that character, you can actually relate that this is Andrew Price. Like for example, even my Ton Rosedon character, I felt like it was good, but probably the reason it didn't have like much impression on the audience is definitely because it didn't tell much story that people can really connect to. And like most of the times we get carried away that you really have to get it looking exactly like something you're trying to create, which is also good and it's like a plus to the final result. But if you can actually tell a very tangible story or can actually have like um, details that kind of show that this is what you're trying to transmit, I think it goes a long way in the way people receive that character.
Yes, I just feel like that. And recently, I have been, hearing stuff, and people are just, some things that you just want some things to be, filled by their mind. If something is not as quite as real, the brain wants to, to fill the gaps between the realism and the cartoony style, and gives you the impression that you know the guy. And this is about the same thing about caricatures. Do you know the drawing, they do about some people, but it's not, it's cartoony. That's why
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm
that's
familiar
why
with that.
Yes, yeah, that's why the people like that type of drawing. It looks like the person more than the person. The brain fills those gaps and make you believe that this guy is Andrew Price, and you want to leave some gaps for the brain to feel. That's why it will feel relatable. The way I think about it.
Yeah, that's totally true. Like you can even see that very prominent if you're watching like scary movies. Like the most scares like you get from scary movie are not just when you see the actual scary stuff or the monster. The scare is when you actually leave it to the imagination of the brain because then you get like varieties of like outcomes whereby the human brains are kind of creating monsters related to their own personal experience, which is really powerful in storytelling. So I think that's the key to even when creating just a basic image. I think it's important to like have a reason and story behind every single thing you create.
Yes, I just feel like that. And just, something that is personal, how do you want people to remember you by, for your great grandchild, what do you want to be like? Emmanuel was this guy.
Yeah, I mean that's not a very simple question, and I appreciate the question. I actually have thought about that because I'll first like elaborate more, saying that like recently I finished my college and I was caught in a spot whereby of course, like when we're young, we have ambitions of being pilots, being doctors.
Yeah.
There are social reasons for that. Probably your parent wants you. So like we have seen successful people, and definitely we want to be like them. And like I was caught in a crossroad whereby, like, okay, I've done everything I need to do. I have my college degree. I'm taking my master's. Like I have job. But like, why? What is the reason for doing all this? So the reason why I boiled down all this to the conclusion to my reasoning, or my conclusion to my thought process, was just to have impact, because we are not a society if each of us don't have an impact. So my final goal is when I die, or by the end of everything, is that when you think about me, I definitely when you think about me, you want to remember someone that like contributed to the furtherment of like an industry or the betterment of a society.
Yes, that's very generous of you. Some people go like, they just feel like, this guy was like, they want to. But if you have something that, you left for the society, everybody will be, trying to remember you by, he was a very humble person, he did this for the society. But when some,
Yeah, that's
um,
no, that's definitely true. Like you're really speaking the truth, because like if you actually look at it, like we humans, like every day we are built to work. Like if you actually look at the social structure, we actually built to like work, get married, just keep working, providing for our families, providing for our loved ones. But if you really look at it, the main goal of according just based on my own opinion, like I feel like why I'm put in this earth is to like play a part in the development or the furtherment of like humanity, like in my own small way, so like with the gift I've been blessed with, I've been blessed with the ability to um do art. So like in my own small way, I want to like pass out knowledge, and also like create and contribute to the industry to get better and progress even to the future.
yes, that's very good of you. People that that have become rich, they don't think they think like they are going to go, they're going to pass away with that money. But when somebody is passing away, you just have them. They leave everything behind, and you just want people to to be to remember you by to be in Africa, most peoples are some religious people, and they just in case of art, everybody is like people are going to be judging your artwork every day. And when someone saw your artwork, you want to give a message behind it. And that's that's the thing that everybody wants to do with art, is just tell share the peace of mind with the world.
Yeah, definitely, that's true. Like for example, we have Da Vinci. Like Da Vinci's artwork helps even like archaeologists and history buffs to actually determine the kind of living patterns in from the old world. So like we have those kind of abilities, because like I mean it's quite amazing that we can look at the past and just like think about them like just the past. But the funny thing is that those past people that have lived like in BC, even before Christ or after Christ, they kind of their life is quite to us right now it's quite irrelevant. But those people back then, they had like love, they had passion, they had dreams, they had hopes, because they're just like us. So we kind of forget that, and we think we're going to live forever, and that is quite, I think that's a very wrong mindset, at least according to my own understanding and perception. I feel like we are all here to contribute to the furtherment of humanity, like even in our own small way. You don't have to save the whole world, you don't have to change the way of thinking, but you just have to make sure that the little community which you have access to make progress, and those little progress, or those people you help, to those little knowledge you impact into those people you can reach, those people are going to transmit those knowledge even further, and that's going to even aid in the growth of the society. And I think that's the mindset we all should have, because just thinking that you're going to live forever, which definitely everyone thinks, because like if you look at the rate of depression and the rate of people feeling lost, not having identity or having reason to live. Of course, those are valued sickness or valued stress cause. But I feel like if you just look at it I just believe you have to look at it in the way that you're here on earth to contribute to the greater good. Like if you're here as an African, if you can contribute even a little way to further our industry in animation to be greater, just in your little way, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be talented, or you just have to have enough skill, like to show like people that hey, there's hope. And I really appreciate the fact, like I said earlier, that I really appreciate the fact that you reached out to me. Like, at least you actually inspire me. These are what inspires me. Like I never turn down anyone that reach out to me. I always make sure I reply, because I think it helps. Even selfishly, it's even inspired me to keep doing more. And I'm really happy that like my work is valuable enough to even make you reach out to me.
Your work is very fantastic. I just have been watching you for around 3 years by now. I have been
Wow, I really
yeah,
appreciate it.
I have been, I have been using Blender for about 6 years by now, and I just feel like if I have been doing this for like quite a long time, but I haven't been, able to give anything back. I just wanted to do a podcast with people, with definitely if I ask Ton Ruzondel right now to be on this podcast, you won't agree. So, having like a very talented person like you to come to this podcast is like means a lot to this podcast, and I just want to say, thank you. Uh,
Um, Honestly, yeah, it's also thank you too. Like I appreciate the fact you reached out to me, and I'm really happy that I'm able to even contribute the little I can to like even creating more hope and like people looking forward or creating more possibilities in people's imagination and minds, that the world is your oyster. You can, there's no limit, honestly. Like you can do anything you want to do, and if I can contribute even a little to that, like of course I would generously do that, because I'm just another fortunate or opportune person to be in this position. And yeah, I'm always ready to like even help the little I can.
yeah. Now this one is like for me. I want to ask you something. I have been doing some tutorials on my channel, and I feel like my tutorials, are not as relatable as you. I have been, doing lots of research behind them. It's just, I'm just asking you for me. What do you want to tell me to get better in my tutorials?
The tutorial for a tutorial, I feel like you just have to know your audience. You have to make analysis on what works and what really gets attention of people. Like even bigger companies, they always take data of people, even though people would say it's crazy. Oh, stop taking my data and stuff like that. But those data actually gives them more opportunity to help you better. Of course, if they're using it for the greater good of the customers. So that's what you want to do. You should realize the audience you're working with. And I think it's quite obvious that the audience you're trying to reach are Blender 3D users, or like 3D users in general. So basically, what you want to do is find those forums where you can get those Blender users. And then for the tutorials you're going to make, it's not just making tutorials that you feel like, because when I started out, like if I just have a breakthrough in something I was practicing, I upload the tutorials. But then I kind of made like a analysis to compare those tutorials that I got more views and did better in. And YouTube have lot of data analysis tools that help you even determine realize that even better. So you can look at the view count, the like count, the engagements which you get with comments. You should look at those tutorials, and those tutorials which you're doing well, you should definitely try. But for you, like right now you're starting out, I don't advise you to like worry about that right now, because even for if I'm going to advise my past self, like my old self, like I will not advise myself to change anything, because I felt like the greatest thing I did was to be experimental. I never kind of locked myself into a box, like saying I'm just going to focus on doing character tutorials, or I'm going to focus on doing rigging tutorials. I felt like I got my break just doing everything, and once you do everything, you actually realize what you're good at. Because right now, if you start trying to fetch data, you probably will not get enough data. So you want to make sure you just keep putting out content, put out as much as you can. If you have a breakthrough, if you have a better twist to a tutorial which you saw from someone good, if you have like something that you felt like he missed out, you can do tutorial on that on same topic, but now you're adding your own flavor. So I just feel like right now, if you're starting out, you don't want to worry about like getting analysis. But if I would advise you on where to like even push your tutorial forward, we are fortunate like if you're doing Blender tutorials, there's a Blender Nation. So in Blender Nation, you can actually reach more Blender users easily, because it's an established site where Blender users go, or even Facebook groups like Blender. If you search Blender on Facebook, you can see Blender, a lot of Blender users there. So I would advise you, like when you make a tutorial, you try to post it in other forums like Blender Nation. If the tutorial is good, and I bet like with your enthusiasm or like your passion, I'm pretty sure your tutorial is good enough. So you can post there. They don't discriminate on the quality of the tutorial, or like how good the audio is, or how good the audio video is. They just upload it as long as it has like a helpful message. So you can post it there, and on Facebook you can just post it there. You just get 1 or 2 likes, and definitely that's going to help you push your YouTube channel to even grow faster.
Yes, I just feel like, when you were saying, do the analysis and stuff, I was thinking in my mind that it's hard to do when you have 124 views, it's like, what do you get from that one? People just, go ahead and, when they start a YouTube channel, they just think like their paycheck is going to come in 12 months. You just have to do, some tutorials, and they think that would be easy. But even, teaching is very, rare job to have. It's a very cool job, but you have to do your research too. That's how I feel about this, and that's why I think my channel is like, I do my research, but I think I am missing out on the topics. I feel like everybody wants to do a short animation, and I just wanted to provide them making simple characters that are easy to rig. And I was like stealing all your contents, just to say sorry right now. I have been using your rigging techniques in my tutorials. That's I was adding my flavor. And how do you feel about this?
I mean, that's totally awesome. Like, even my reading skills, I mean, they are not, I didn't just come up with it, because I didn't create Blender. So I definitely learned it from someone, and that's totally valid. I think right now you're doing the right thing, but you should not get carried away with, like, because I also kind of got carried away with, like, for a while, like the trend in Blender community was this lazy tutorial, whereby bunch of Blender video creators were like, oh, create a nice rig in 10 minutes. Then they do blah 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 blah. They fast forward the video and do stuff like that. I mean, it's cool, but you should realize the audience you're trying to go for, because there's a really valuable lesson which I got from just a random YouTube video. It was not like really art related. The goal is not to get 1 million followers. The goal is to get 1,000 followers that actually believe in you, really. So, like, your goal, you shouldn't really follow the trend. Of course, you should pay attention to the trend to make sure you're updated, and make sure you're not just being that old guy that just sticks to the trend. That just sticks to what you believe. You should look at the trend and really compare it to what you're doing currently. Like, for example, the 5 minutes or 2-second tutorial that was like kind of trending, I think early December last year. Of course, people enjoyed it, but for the real Blender users, they definitely don't want that. So those people that enjoy those 5 minutes or 5-second Blender tutorials are just passerbys or people just trying to learn art. But people that really need your tutorials are going to are ready to listen to it like 1 hour, 2 hours tutorial, even if you have it, if you have good content. So I think at least what works for me, at least for now, because I actually kind of I was in the phase whereby do I need to start making shorter tutorials? But when I made my research, I found out that was not even the way to go. The way to actually go is to just keep doing what you do, but do it better. So now you know that people attention spans are quite kind of short. Um, that's what they say, but that's actually not true. People attention spans are quite kind of short for things that don't have value. So if you start your content showing values, if you notice in my recent tutorials, I kind of make better explanation. Yeah, for the car explanation, like for example, the recent car tutorial which uploaded, I kind of really explained the rig. I mean, if you see how the rigs work, or if you see the complexity of the rig, probably if you really want to learn how to rig a character or rig a car, you're definitely going to stick to see the end of the tutorial. But anyone that's not going to stick to the end of the tutorial, probably that's not the person you want to watch your videos. So you want someone that's going to watch your video and stick for longer, like for the long run. So you're not just playing a short-term game, you're playing a long-term game. So you want to make sure you're giving value to each person that view your video. So like every tutorial you're going to make, it's just going to make sure that you're putting much quality, and it's good that you're making your research so that you're actually impacting valuable knowledge that people will need. And just take it a day at a time. Honestly, like for even earning money from YouTube, I didn't start earning money from YouTube till last year, and I had like 6,000 subscribers like before that. My channel was kind of not finished. I don't know. I think I kind of made a bit of mistake with the monetization settings, and it kind of messed up my whole monetization stuff. But I still kept going, and out of the blue, I got my monetization. So I just even started earning from my YouTube channel not so long. So if your goal is just to earn money, which is totally valid, uh, it's good, but in the long run, it's not sustainable. Your goal should be actually to make impact. That in the long run, you're still incentivized. If you're still motivated to like keep doing this thing, and it's a long game. It's not a short game. So you just keep putting out quality content, and I promise you, how the way life works with enough effort and enough persistence, no matter how good or bad you are, you're gonna get what you deserve.
That's, very good advice, especially for me and for those of you who are watching, having a dream about making a tutorials one day. In my case, I have started this journey, but it's not that far. I have been doing it for about 3 months right now, but I have very short videos, around 4 tutorials. But, I feel like this advice could help for me, and it could help for very lots of people. When I watch your tutorial, I just feel like there are lots of tutorials about for beginners, and there are lots of tutorials that are aimed for for the pro people. But there is nobody have making tutorials in the middle, and I just feel your tutorials are the ones that are aiming for the middle parts. Is that true?
Yeah, that's my goal, because like my basic principle, or like my I don't know how I forgot the word, or I don't know, or my principle, if I would say, not to be pretentious, but like I would say, like what is driving me, it's not to make tutorial for the excellent users, because even like I don't consider myself like a beginner of Blender, or maybe I'm like in the front end of the intermediate users of Blender. So I know what I enjoy. Like I enjoy tutorials, like probably like when I'm working, I want to learn a tutorial how to export characters in Mixamo. I want to learn how to rig a character myself, not just relying on the Rigify rig. I want to learn how to rig a character on the car rig. I want to learn how to build a character, or just look at someone create something. So I create something for myself. So look at what the stage you are right now, and imagine if someone like you is looking for content on YouTube. So create something for yourself. So if you're creating something for yourself, definitely there are thousands of people like you that needs what you need right now. And those people, when they search on YouTube, they're going to definitely encounter you, and those are the people you want, because then in the process they're going to grow with you, and in the process of growing with you they're going to stick with you for the long run. And then at the middle, then you can start creating things. Like when starting my channel, I started learning with Blender Guru. I think I started learning tutorial around 2013. Like Blender Guru, then he was making tutorial about everything in Blender, and I think it kind of influenced the way I work with Blender. Like he did tutorial on modeling, basic modeling, shading, texturing, and like compositing. So I kind of like absorbed all those things. So I kind of grew with Blender Guru, and at the time I kind of
We all
found my own.
yeah.
Yeah. So after, yeah, definitely. So after that, I kind of found my own path, whereby I know what I'm really good at, and I'm now doing that. So that's definitely what you want to do. So you want to make a tutorial for yourself, and definitely there are thousands of people, if not thousands, millions of people that want or are exactly like you are. Like you should just realize that the world is so big, and like what you want, definitely people want it. So focus on what you want. Like if you have a breakthrough in creating a cup, definitely you should upload a tutorial making a cup on your YouTube channel. And definitely there are thousands of people that want to learn how to make a cup inside Blender. So that's just basically my mindset of creating tutorials on YouTube.
That's very great, and that would be helpful. And you might even see me, in your pop-ups that say "Watch next." If not for you, I will be trying to do this. Thank you. And is there anything you want to leave us with? Is there anything you want to tell us that I haven't asked you about?
Like if I would leave any message, I would just say experiment, because of course there's like something to be said about speciality or being very knowledgeable at a particular task. But like if you're starting out with 3D, or starting out with any occupation, or any new kind of word or language, the best thing you will do for yourself is to just experiment. Just try everything. Try rigging, try modeling, try sculpting, try VFX, try Photoshop, try every single thing. And the awesome thing about that is that you will have basic knowledge about everything. But definitely that thing you're really good at, those things you've learned will contribute to like your final goal. So just try everything, at least for when you're getting started. And when you're good enough, then you can try to specialize. So like if that's my final message, that's what I'm gonna leave for you.
We just want to say thank you for being in this podcast. We have learned, in my case, I have learned a lot. So from you, this 2 hours or so, 1 hour or 30 minutes have been like the best time that I have ever had in long time. And stay safe, man.